There's a kind of ache that builds up when you keep reaching for love with half of yourself. When you're physically present, but you're emotionally missing. When you perform what looks like connection, but silently pull away before anything really gets real. And perhaps you felt it. It's like the quiet panic that rises when someone gets too close, or when their eyes linger too long, or when their question cuts a little too deep. And so you retreat, not always with your feet, but with your heart. And you ghost yourself and you disappear just enough to feel safe. But maybe you tell yourself you're just being cautious, that you need time, that they came on too strong. But beneath all those explanations is this deeper truth that you want to be chosen, but you haven't chosen yourself. Well, I mean, not really, not in a way that actually lets you stay. That's what this episode is about, because so many people are out there just waiting to be loved fully, while they're hiding the very parts that make love possible. They're hoping that someone will see through the gaps that they've created and still reach for them. But here's the thing. No one can choose what you won't reveal. No one will find what you keep dropping. I mean, let's be honest. It's easier to ghost yourself than to risk being ghosted by someone else, right? To shut down before they shut you out, or to dismiss your own needs before anyone else has a chance to. But that doesn't protect you. It just keeps you in a cycle of almost connection, almost intimacy, almost being seen. And eventually the almosts become exhausting. And you start wondering why no one sticks around, why every relationship seems to fade, and why you feel lonelier with people than you did without them. And it's not that you're unlovable, it's that you keep stepping out of your own story before anyone else has that chance to enter it. You keep ghosting yourself and blaming them when they follow your lead. So let's explore what it actually means to show up, to stop retreating into the safe shadows, to stop pre-rejecting yourself in the name of control. Because you weren't made to be half seen. And you can't be chosen if you're not going to stay. The truth is, many of us, we learned very early that being fully present was dangerous. Maybe you grew up in a house where feelings weren't welcome, or where vulnerability was met with silence, sarcasm, or even punishment. Maybe you were told to toughen up, to stop being so dramatic, and to just get over it. And so you did. You learned to disappear before anyone else could make you feel small. And so you learned to ghost your own feelings and push them down and laugh them off and intellectualize them before someone else could weaponize them. And now you're still doing it. Only now it shows up in subtler ways, where you pull back emotionally when the conversation gets serious, or you deflect compliments, or dismiss affection with a joke. So you find yourself ghosting text threads when someone reaches out for you sincerely. Or you forget to call back, or you get too busy to hang out, or you lose interest just when it starts feeling real. But beneath all of that, there's fear. Fear of being known, fear of being rejected for who you actually are, fear of that if you stop controlling the narrative, someone else might get close enough to leave you. And so you've learned to disappear first. I mean, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically. And you vanish in plain sight. And then you wonder why no one sees you. But let's pause right there. Because this isn't about shame. This is about recognizing the pattern and then choosing something new. It's about seeing your ghosting for what it is, like a survival strategy that once protected you, but now prevents you from being loved. See, you can't ask someone to choose you while abandoning the very parts of yourself that make you real. And you can't be half here and fully held. Real connection asks something different. It asks that you stay, to stay when it's uncomfortable, to stay when your old wounds are screaming at you to run, to stay when every instinct tells you that disappearing is safer. Because intimacy, like real intimacy, it doesn't chase ghosts. It meets presence with presence. And that really starts with you. See, you're not too broken to be loved, but you might be too hidden to be found. There's something quietly heartbreaking about a person who's always almost lovable, almost available, almost honest, almost open, almost present, but never quite. They're the ones you feel like you almost know, the ones who say the right things and smile at the right times and even ask about your day. But something's missing behind the eyes. They're there, but they're not there, right? If you've ever been on the receiving end of that, you know how painful that can be, right? And here's the hard part. Many of us are being that person. We just don't realize it because we're, it's not because we're manipulative, no. I think it's because we might be, we're still not fully with ourselves. You see, it's possible to crave love and still not be emotionally present. It's possible to long for intimacy, for example, while at the very time you're running from it. That's the paradox of, it lives inside of many of us, and the incel community. It's one of the clearest expressions of this paradox as well. See, when men long to be chosen, but have never been given the safe space to be seen, or men who ache for closeness but have only ever been rewarded with stoicism, or men who ghost their own needs because they were taught that those needs make them weak. And so they disappear from themselves, from others, from the emotional world entirely. And then they turn that pain outward and they say, she didn't choose me, or they only want Chads, or no one sees me. But brother, do you see you though? Do you stay when you're overwhelmed? Or do you hold space for your own sadness without needing to shut it down or cover it up? Do you trust yourself with your own truth? Because if you can't do that, you're going to keep ghosting yourself. And every time you do, it sends this message saying, I don't think I'm worth staying for. And eventually that message starts to echo in everything. You text, hoping that she reaches back, but deep down you're bracing for her to disappear because that's what you always do. And you say that you want connection, but the thing is you flinch at eye contact when it lingers too long. You say you want to be chosen, but you don't even feel choosable yourself. You feel like an empty house where no one's home. And when people walk past without knocking, it hurts. But if the lights aren't on, how would they actually know you're there? See, there's a version of you that doesn't run. It doesn't run from discomfort. It doesn't run from affection. It doesn't run even from the voice in your head or your chest that says, just stay. And no, it's not some imaginary perfected version of you that I'm talking about. It's the you that chooses to stay even when things get hard, even when feelings are loud. even when shame shows up uninvited and starts rearranging the furniture in your mind. It's the version of you that stops ghosting yourself. And it doesn't have to be a superhero. This is just a witness or a caretaker or a friend internally. And more than anything else, that version of you is present there still. And that's what women are looking for. They're not looking for perfection or performance or even posturing. They're looking for your presence. Not just with her, but with you yourself. Because she can only meet you as deeply as you have met yourself. See, when you flinch at your own emotions, she learns not to bring hers. And when you check out, conversation with her doesn't feel heard. When you disappear the moment things get vulnerable, she feels alone in the room, even when you are physically right next to her. And that's the thing about ghosting. It doesn't require an exit. Sometimes it looks like silence or forced small talk or just an emotional shutdown or I'm fine when you're not. But wholeness isn't built on disappearing acts. It's actually built on honesty. It's built on coming back, on choosing to stay. Even if your hands are unstable, even if your voice cracks when you're speaking, even if you don't have the right words yet, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be there, present. Because when you stop ghosting yourself, something radical begins to happen, and that is you feel more real, and you feel more rooted, and you feel more visible, and the world starts to respond. People begin to trust you, not because you're right always, but because you're here. Your presence becomes a promise. And eventually the things that you've longed for, like being chosen, it doesn't feel like a fantasy anymore. It actually feels like a reflection of the choice that you have finally made. And that is to stay with yourself, to stay for yourself from that grounded place inside, to be able to then invite someone else in. That's what it means to break the pattern. And that's what it means to stop ghosting yourself. So, you want to be chosen, right? Start by choosing yourself. Every messy, beautiful, scary, resilient part of you. Because when you finally stay, so much more becomes possible. Challenging reflections, but you got this.